I welcome you again as we continue to read and understand the book of Revelation, the message, in order to understand the meaning. That is, two questions: what does it say? What does it mean? Confident that we can read and understand the book of Revelation so that we can receive the blessing. Chapter 14. In the little open scroll, we learn that Satan could not defeat the Christ child born of the woman. Satan also lost the heavenly battle, but Satan continues to battle on earth against the church and God's community. We read all of that in chapter 12. And Satan has recruited allies to oppose God's people, specifically symbolized in two beasts, which we studied in chapter 13, the Roman Empire. Come to chapter 14, we are introduced to the forces of the Lamb. 144,000 with the Lamb on Mount Zion, perhaps a reference to heaven. The battle will be waged. God will not desert his faithful witnesses. The book of Revelation is designed to encourage discouraged Christians, to comfort persecuted Christians. The victory is certain. The 144,000 is a repeated symbol referring to the people of God. The obvious connection suggests that this is the same group as in chapter 7. But now they have moved from being afflicted on earth to following the Lamb on Mount Zion. They have the seal of God. They are first fruits, redeemed from the earth. They are pure spiritually. A quick summary of chapter 14, verses 1 through 5. Three angelic declarations follow. The first angel proclaims judgment through the gospel, a judgment that will come to all who dwell on the earth, which is John's code phrase for the opponents. The hour of God's judgment has come. This is not the final judgment. This is God's judgment on Rome, those who dwell on the earth, those who follow the beast. The second angel announces the certainty of the fall of Babylon, a reference to Rome, again in code. The third angel announces judgment on those who follow the beast, those who worship the Roman emperor, chapter 14, verses 9 through 11. These will drink the undiluted wrath of God. Complying with the demands of the emperor for worship is not the easy way out. Faithful witness, even martyrdom, is to be preferred to compromise. That truth is reinforced again in chapter 14, verses 12 and 13. Patient endurance, faithful commandment keeping, following Jesus, who is the faithful witness and who was himself killed. These are the characteristics of the saints. If following Jesus means death, that death will bring blessing and rest, and the record of faithfulness and labor will follow those who have died in the Lord. The fulfillment of the angelic announcements is pictured. The earth is reaped and the grape harvest is thrown into the winepress of God's wrath. Again, this is not the final judgment. This is the judgment announced by the three angels against Rome and against those who worship the beast. A quick look at a few other details. The cloud rider with the sickle, like a son of man, verse 14, is likely an angel and not a reference to Christ. We just saw the Lamb with the 144,000 on Mount Zion. Of course, the figures in apocalyptic language can change rapidly, and this is not a place to be dogmatic. To be considered in analyzing the passage is that the cloud rider receives instructions from another angel from the temple of God. It may seem strange that an angel is giving Christ instructions. And also the phrase, one like a son of man, often refers to angelic beings in apocalyptic literature. And yes, I'm aware that the same phrase in chapter 1 referred to one in human form with divine vestments, Jesus himself. At the instruction of the angel from the temple, the sickle is cast upon the earth is reaped. There are no other details given here. Those will come later. A second angel, instructed by the angel from the altar, gathers grape clusters and casts them into the winepress of God's wrath. The cloud rider and the three other angels have reaped the harvest and the vintage, not two separate events, but the picture of God's judgment against Rome, but using two different symbols. The grape harvest does not yield wine, but blood, flowing deep and distant. 1600 stadia, perhaps that number is derived by multiplying 4 by 100. That would be almost 200 miles up to bridal depth. The message, Rome will fall. That certainty has been proclaimed and pictured again in the proclamation of the angel. The focus is less on the opponents and more on the victory of the Lamb and his forces, which is obviously accomplished with ease. And I think a primary application is also clear. Stand firm against all opponents in purity, in faithfulness, and always giving faithful testimony. Endurance, patience, faithfulness, victory, even when that victory is, shall we say, snatched from the jaws of death. May God bless us as we seek to read and understand this book. Looking forward to continuing our study. In our next study, if you are reading ahead, we will cover both chapters 15 and 16. See you then.